what's up and welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be giving a review for the horror film The Strangers Chapter 2. Now this is a direct sequel to The Strangers Chapter 1 from last year, 2024, and both of these films are directed by Renny Harlin, so right there I feel like that it's like in good territory. And this film is also supposed to be like a reboot of the Stranger film series, so it's not really like a prequel to the original Strangers from the 2008, which I always thought was an awesome like a horror like film, the one from 2008, the first Strangers film. But this particular film right here, it does continue directly after the events of The Strangers Chapter 1. So I thought that was kind of cool. It kind of feels like it's falling like in like Halloween 2 like territory, 1981's Halloween 2, where Michael Myers has to go to like Haddonfield like Memorial Hospital to find Laurie Strode. It feels very similar to that because like the survivor, and it's a spoiler territory, but you can kind of see already in the trailers though, that Maya has survived the attack of the Strangers from the previous film, The Strangers Chapter 1. So she ends up in the hospital because at the end of the first film, Chapter 1, she ends up in the hospital. But now while she's in the hospital, the Strangers do show up there and they're still pursuing her. So I'm like, whoa, that was kind of tense. And I must admit, that was kind of like scary too, like, whoa, they're still after her. And it's like, you don't really, know why. But as the film goes on, there's like a lot of like world building in it. That's why I be like a lot of stuff was kind of left unfinished or wasn't like resolved, why people weren't doing this or doing that. It's like a lot of like holes there. But I guess because like I was saying, this is supposed to be like the start of like a trilogy of the Stranger films, because like I think Renny Harlin, he filmed all three of them like back to back. So it's going to be one more Strangers film, and I think it's scheduled next year. Yeah, because it's even at the end of this film, when it finishes, if you watch the credits, there's a teaser for The Strangers Chapter 3. It does show it at the very end of it, and I think it does say that it's scheduled to be released next year. But anyway, the Strangers do pursue Maya to like the hospital, and I just going into it, because obviously you can kind of predict the events of this film, and she does get like badly injured, like in this film. Like there's like a lot of other scenes. I mean, like her character, like Maya, she's still played by Madeline Petch. I think that's how you pronounce it. Her like character just goes through so much in this particular film. She goes through, I think, from my opinion, it's like she goes through like some more brutal injuries than she got like in the first film. Like some of the stuff that the Strangers, where the mask, assailants do to her, is very like more brutal than what happened to her in the first film. Because they're pursuing her in the hospital when the film does open. But at the same time, like I said, it's spoiler territory. She does make it out the hospital, and they still pursue her around like the land, like in various areas. Like she'll go to like somebody's house and all that. They're still out there. And she goes like deeper into the woods, and they're still out there. So all this is still taking place like on that same like night. And I think it goes into like the next day. Yeah, I know it gets daytime at one point. But it is like very, to be honest, it is a very strange film. It's like I want to touch on some of the people that show up in the film, but they're kind of spoiler. But as the film goes on, you did get more like flashbacks to like the past of the Strangers themselves, and I think that's when the film kind of goes down, because now they're like what you call it? They're giving like the Strangers themselves. They're really giving them like personality now. They're not no longer like hidden. You know who they were, who's like behind the mask and stuff, because you're getting to see what happened to them when they were like a kid. You even get like a glimpse of like the Tamara issue, like why they always be saying, the one girl was saying, is Tamara here? Like she always be saying, is Tamara here? So it turns out, you find out who Tamara, I think that was who that was, like in the flashback scene, you can find out who Tamara, because apparently she was like a ghost or a myth or something like that, but it turns out it is revealed who Tamara was as you watch the film, and what happened to that particular like girl, and I believe that was her, yeah. But it does dwell more into that, but like I said, it's like still like a lot of like holes in the film that weren't like resolved or like finished, But I guess they're leaving it for part 3, or like Renny Harlin's like leaving that for the third one when they like wrap it up. But other than that though, the character of Maya, she becomes almost like Rambo in this film, because there's moments in the film where she has to like heal herself, and she got wounded real bad, like the same wound from where they stabbed her in the previous film, Chapter 1, like in her stomach. She has to sew it all up because it's like opening all up and stuff is bleeding. It's like she has to like prepare herself. She has to make fires like in the woods and stuff to survive. So I thought that was kind of cool and like unusual, because she seemed like almost like Rambo at that point. The stuff that it was doing, what that was going on for her. There was even like an encounter of this like massive like boar that this is spoiler territory, that the Strangers sumped on her. Like this like huge like pig, like this boar got like tusks. There was a tyke of her and stuff. I thought that was kind of, whoa, that was intense and unexpected and like very unusual, for this kind of a film that she had to fight this like animal, and it was like massive. It's like a boar. It was attacking her in the car, even on the ground. It was biting her legs and everything, dragging her. Even there, she was getting injured. You know, and had to heal that up. But now, it was still just okay. I feel like it was kind of on the level of the first film, and I thought the chapter one, not the other two Stranger films. I think them are still better than these. But the chapter one film, from like last year, I thought that was still a little more like atmospheric and scary, like, because it was mostly inside that house, Whereas this one go all outside from the hospital. It goes out into the woods. It goes to like other people's houses, and plus they're like you get to see more of like the strangers, like their flashbacks, like the ones that wearing the masks. You get to see them as kids and stuff, so it's showing, giving them more like a human side. They're no longer like hidden. So I think that was kind of like a downgrade right there. I'd rather them stay like hidden and stuff like that. Who they were and why they was doing this. I would prefer that the films just stayed like that. But other than that, though, I'm gonna give it a C. And I guess I recommend it for fans like the previous Strangers film, because it's definitely on the level of that. I still be at the very first two Strangers films, like The Strangers and The Strangers Paradise. I be those like better films than this. But anyway, I know part 3 is on the way. You have to watch the credits too, because they have like the Easter egg at the end of it. But anyway, please leave a comment and subscribe too as well.